So we're all in the storytelling business, and when I say we, I think I include all of you. I mean, I don't really know the audience makeup exactly, but I often give this talk to agency folks and creatives and planners and media people, and I think that salespeople need to be storytellers as well. So I think I'm working hard to include everybody in that sentence, and I think I got it. Some of the best work being done in the advertising industry today, and social and digital, is built on age-old story platforms that most of us really don't understand. They're not complicated, but most of us don't really understand them. And when I say most of us, I don't mean just creatives. I mean, I mean almost even creatives. I mean, almost everybody is really weak on what makes up stories. And so I noticed that at my agency, and I thought, let's have a presentation that really, let me do some things that help people get familiar with what are the elements of good storytelling, what's an obstacle, how do you build a plot, and some of those things. So this is actually really classic in a lot of ways, the stuff I'm going to show you. You can almost do it to an English class. The way that cultures work. It's hardwired into us. Evolutionary psychologists actually will tell you that we aren't wired to understand information. I mean, the whole way that we communicate in the business world is completely unnatural. I mean, PowerPoints are literally designed, and I don't really consider this a PowerPoint. I made it myself, so it has none of the skills of PowerPoint since I'm a creative. But anyways, it is completely counterintuitive. We need stories so we can remember things that are important to us. That's how it got wired into our brains. So, cave folks, had a problem with food. They'd eat the wrong mushroom and they die. And eventually we came up with charts that showed you the mushrooms. But in the beginning, a lot of people have the rags to riches story built into their actual lives. And people are part of brands. Oprah's a brand and she sells a lot of stuff. She has that story. Howard Schultz and Starbucks has that story. J.K. Rowling, Sam Walton. I mean, the list goes on. You can think of LeBron James. I mean, a lot of people have the story, and a lot of brands, like we talk about challenger brands. Some of you might work for challenger brands. Some of you might do work on behalf of challenger brands. We do some work for Johnsonite, which is a flooring company that for years has seen themselves as the little guy fighting the big guy. They ended up getting bought by Tarkett, which is the biggest flooring company in the world, but that particular brand within Tarkett has always harbored that grudge. You hear about great athletes who always have a chip on their shoulder. Gilbert Arenas wore 0 because people told him he was no good. So there's a lot you can do if you hone in on this part of the situation. It's not important that you know what makes everything up, but just remembering the elements of storytelling. Conflict, obstacles are very important. Character is often very important. Some sort of resolution, but again, the more twists and turns along the way, the more you engage people.